Here's your texting.
Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Trish.
Mrs. Brew?
Here.
Mr. Kramer?
Here.
Mr. Menegini?
Here.
Mr. Marraro?
Here.
Mr. Pop?
Here.
Move on. Before we move on to the approval of the agenda, aren't we going into closed session?
Usually at the end.
Yeah, it wasn't put on the.
Yeah, it's here. Number 17.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even see that there. Okay. Do I have a motion on the agenda?
Make motion we approve the agenda.
Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Marraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes. Approval of minutes of the special meeting of May 16th, 2022. Do I have a motion?
Make motion to approve the minutes from special meeting May 16, 2022.
Support.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Marraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Regular meeting of May 16th, 2022.
Make motion to approve regular meeting of May 16, 2022.
Support.
Mr. Marraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Special meeting of May 24th, 2022.
Motion we approve special meeting May 24, 2022.
Support.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Marraro?
Yes.
Special meeting of June 1st, 2022.
Motion we approve special meeting June 1st, 2022.
Support.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Marraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Move on to approval of manifest 2022-11. Scott, did you have any questions?
I have nothing for tonight.
Brett?
I have none.
Jeff?
None, Mayor.
Rico?
None.
And I have none, so if I could have a motion on manifest 2022-11.
I move to approve manifest 2022-11 in the amount of $654,925.15.
Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Marraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council on an agenda item only shall do so now at the podium. State your name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. If not, we'll go on to public hearing. Do I have a motion for the public hearing?
Motion we go into public hearing.
Support.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Marraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Our public hearing tonight is consideration of the communication system sale. Mr. Saltman?
So this is something that my understanding the council has been wanting to see on an official agenda item, so we brought that public hearing to you tonight. Unfortunately, being here a month, I don't have great detail on this. What I've tried to provide you was some guidance as far as how this process might work if the council indeed decides they want to explore this. So if the council would like us to explore this, what I would ask is that looking for some direction for the city attorney and I to start the RFP process. That would include what we will put out to potential interested parties. Those things would include something of what they value our system. We might want to know what they plan to do with it. What is going to happen to our customer base? What do they plan to charge our customers? All of those types of things is something we might put in an RFP. Once we have that developed based on your guidance, we would bring that back to the council for your review and approval. If you would approve such the RFP, we would then put it out there for interested parties to send their proposals into us. At that same time, we would start our own evaluation process as far as what we believe the system would be worth, so we have some idea to compare what we might receive in turn. Along with this is just the current budget, what we're looking at, and some of the expenditures that we have planned.
And just so the public knows, the city has been looking at this for a while. And being the prices that the networks are charging us per month per customer, just keeps getting higher and higher. It's not going to go down. We do have to do some upgrades on our systems. So what that would mean is each year as the rates go up on the networks, everybody's going to get charged more for their TV again. And if we have to put a certain amount of money into the system, we're going to have to charge more to put into the system to upgrade. So this is why the council now is looking at this. This doesn't mean we're going to do it, but this means that we are considering looking at that and what it looks like. We want to do what's best for the citizens here. I know as a council member, I get a lot of complaints on the TV. I get complaints on the price of the TV. We're not making hardly anything off the TV. Actually, the last 4 months, we lost on the TV because of the rates going up. What else was I going to say? So we're just looking out what's best for the customers and exploring what is out there. Did I miss anything, you guys?
No. Yeah, as the mayor's saying, I've been heavily involved in this process with Ray, Dan's predecessor, and also, some outside consultants that we've used in the past. And, what we've seen out there is other cities other municipally owned systems where the city failed to keep up with the technology that's out there. And you wake up one day and you're paying somebody to take it off your hands. So we're kind of at that crossroads right now. Either we have to spend real capital dollars to upgrade the system once again, from a hardware standpoint, or as Candy mentioned earlier, programming every month keeps going up and up and up and up, and we can't. Everybody hates to see that bill go up, but we're at a point now where it's the city's in the red every month. So I think it's only prudent that we definitely at least take a look at our options out there and see what it's worth and who would be interested in coming and possibly running it and what that looks like for the citizens moving forward.
Another comment too, I get a lot of phone calls about channels being out and stuff like that. I just want people to know majority of the time it's not even on our end. Our guys are out there doing the best they can to keep things going, but a lot of times when we call to find out, why is this channel out, why is that channel out, sometimes it's coming from who we're getting it from. It's not even on our end. Just so people understand that.
Very true.
And if anybody in the public has anything they'd like to say, you're more than welcome to come up and ask anything, but just so everybody knows right now, we're just looking at our options to see what we can do. And if there is other options too. We can go and we can start cutting channels. That's an option too. But the problem is, just so people understand that too, is they'll give you one good channel and make you take 5 maybe channels nobody really likes to watch. But when you take that one channel, you are locked in to taking all the channels. And each network is like Fox, NBC, CBS, them are our most expensive ones. And the problem is, so many people now are streaming, and what they're doing is they're getting their TV, their stations through their internet. So it's hard for the companies to keep up. And our internet is doing good. But of course, nobody's gonna come in and just buy the TV because they don't want just the TV. It would be the internet and everything all together. So that's kind of a reasoning, you know, to look into this. Is there an example, like exactly what we get charged, like just from Fox per month? Yeah, you got it here. Just so I can give a couple examples for everybody. For CBS, we're charged $4.70 per customer. Now, that's everybody who's on everybody who gets it. Let's see, ESPN, which includes Disney, ESPN2, Fox, another Fox, National ESPN, $15.25 per month per customer. Another one, Discovery, Planet, Discovery, Magnolia, the Food Network, HGTV, ID, MotorTech, OWN, Science Channel, TLC, and the Travel Channel charge us $13.76 per month per customer. Our NBCs with Bravo, CNBC, MSNBC, Oxygen, Sci-Fi, the Gulf Channel, all of them are $7.35 per month per customer. And you got some Turner Network, $9.09 with the few channels that they give us. And all together for like our TV guides, CBS, the Weather Channel, all them all together, Fox out of Green Bay, ABC, NBC, C-SPAN, C-SPAN 2, QVC. I might miss a couple of them, but just so you guys understand, we're getting charged $32.45 per month per customer. And I might have missed a couple little ones. There's $2.25, $5.19, and so on. There's, you know, a few more on there. Just so people kind of understand why they're getting charged as much as you're getting charged, because we're not hardly making anything off what we're charging right now, a few dollars.
My understanding, speaking to Ray, and again, I haven't been long enough to have a good feel for this, but my understanding when it comes to cable, yes, we typically lose money per customer. What we're charging doesn't equal what we're being charged by the networks, is my understanding of how it's going out. Internet and phone, we do profit on internet and phone. Cable, we lose.
And all these channels went up the 1st of January, and you're not going to see your increase right till this coming month. So the city has picked up the last 4 months for everybody to have the price increase on the TV channels. So just so people understand.
We also start looking at if we can come up with more viable package where we can keep rates low and still not lose on it, and we can try to work on that as a parallel to if we do develop an RFP or something.
Yeah, and we can do that. We can cut channels to lower the price. But some of these, the problem is the good channels that everybody wants, they got 5 or 6 attached to it that you don't want.
We also can't get out of our current discussed drop numbers.
Okay.
I know Ray had mentioned, and I'm not sure if it was a hard number or not, or just you know, this is what we think, but didn't he have some sort of quote about, or not a quote, or some sort of estimate of how many municipalities in Michigan actually still own and operate their own system? Like
There wasn't many.
Yeah, does anyone
I
remember?
think there's less than 4.
I thought that the number that's stuck in my head is 3.
Yeah, most municipalities got rid of their TV. And another problem is, I don't know if we've seen it yet, but I know before COVID, I don't know if we got any grants coming in now, but because we're a municipality, we didn't qualify for any grants for our TV, for upgrades.
And don't forget, we're being overbuilt by a fiber provider, so there's gonna be competition in town. You're gonna have an option.
So when it comes to, you know, exploring options, I mean, I think it would be almost negligent on our behalf if we didn't look for options out there. I know sometimes, we get worried about, upsetting customer base if we have to cut channels or if we have to raise prices. I'm thinking about how upset our citizens may be if at one point, like you alluded to earlier, we're paying someone to take it off of our hands,
Yeah.
At
At some point.
Yeah, and knowing that over the 5 or 6 year plan, it looked like $800,000 worth of infrastructure upgrades up from now through 2027, so 5 years. We have come up with over 800 plus if we're to stay on plan. And we all know how fast the world of technology is changing.
I worked in the industry for 15 years, and I've seen a lot of municipalities end up with having nothing. Just not worth anything. Like I said, you have an overbuilder coming in now. It's all about how many homes pass, is how these things are valued. And of course, the actual infrastructure will kind of shape that's in. Our infrastructure right now, for the most part, is in good shape. The system, the outside, it's called outside plant, which is your fiber and coax cable along with the opto electronics, is fairly current, up to industry standards. Yes, there's some things that we definitely need to do over the next 5 years, which Rico alluded to here a minute ago. But at the end of the day, if you're going to maximize the taxpayer return on this system, now is the time to get bids in and seriously consider selling it.
So if anybody else has anything to say or they'd like to come up and ask a question, if we know it, we'll answer it. If we don't, you gotta come up.
What are our options then? Direct
You gotta come,
TV or?
no, you gotta come up here and you gotta state your name
I
and,
got bad knees.
you can sit right there if your knees are too bad. Just state your name and address for the record.
Offers, Norway. What are our options then? Direct TV or dish? And that would be it then?
No, we're gonna look into seeing if somebody wants to buy it out, so that would be an option. So we don't know what the options are gonna be right now. We won't know until we look into it, what the options will be.
Yeah, we're not talking about shutting the service off, Pete.
No, we're not gonna just all of a sudden say it's gone.
Yeah.
Part of the RFP process is, like I said, we want to be able to ask those questions of what do potential buyers plan to do with the system? Channel lineup rates, so that if the council does decide to go down that road, you guys know what the impact on your citizens will be. That's certainly something I would want to ask.
Who would buy something like that?
Well, we don't know until we would put it out there.
Northside, Iron Mountain, or
We have no idea.
Spectrum?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Somebody like that, yes. Those would be potential suitors, yes. But again, like to Candy's point, we don't know who would be interested.
Yeah, yeah. What does Niagara have?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know if they still run their own
Nothing?
or not. Pete.
Nothing,
I don't think they did anymore.
no.
Oh, they used to have,
They did. But I think it's been quite a while. I believe it's been a while.
And
Jim, do you know if Niagara City still run cable plant?
The co-op shut off.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
They're done. I heard that they might be running internet only on it, but they've got very few customers.
Yeah.
Most of the plant over there is Insight. They ran fiber to the home about 10 years ago.
They did, okay.
They got grants, so, yeah.
Thanks, Jim.
And that's what keeps sticking in my head is, we know that a lot of municipalities our size did stuff like this years ago. And I think that's why that 4 or 3 numbers, planted in my head. Really? That's how many municipalities are left doing this? And if that is completely 100% factual, maybe Dan or someone could do a little more digging on that.
I got a note now.
But to me, that in and of itself says something, for the demands that customers have. Because it's the whole world now, right? Internet service and internet TV over the internet and movies and blah, 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 and it's not gonna change.
Yeah, Ray, we're not even talking about the service side of this, exactly.
Service,
You know, Kenny mentioned it
you know.
earlier. There's a lot of misconception out there that the city's done something wrong when it comes to the internet or the channels or whatever it might be, and there is some, you know, obviously there can always be issues in the plant that we own, you know, our piece of it, but a lot of it is issues from our aggregator, who we actually get our signals from, that's out of our control. So, some of the companies that you mentioned, people like Spectrum and others, they have, you know, 24/7, 365, you know, round-the-clock service, you know, numbers to call, things like that for customers where, you know, we have City Hall, right, for instance. So there's some misconception there, I think, from a customer service standpoint, that sometimes that the city's failing you folks, and really it's not something we can do anything about.
So you would put internet for sale? Not the internet,
Telephone?
telephone?
It would be, I'm sure that whoever takes us over would want all three.
Well, the plant supports all three.
And the
Everything
plant.
runs through the plant, so they would buy the plant, and thus you would have the same offerings, you know, in that situation. It's triple play is what they call that, right? You get your phone, your internet, and your video services. So yes, they would be whoever would come in would take all that over, yes.
And if we decide to go that way. So as of right now, we're just looking at our options.
I'm looking at my options too. DirecTV ain't cheap.
No, and actually, you know, a lot of people will call me on the phone and say, I'm getting rid of the cable, I don't want the cable. Guess what? For everybody who gets rid of it, it costs us less, because we don't get charged a set price. We get charged per customer, which is a sad thing, but it is a fact.
Yeah, it's almost like these services are becoming like car insurance.
Yeah.
Where you kinda have to shop around every couple years to see, you know, once they get you and you're loyal, then, we're gonna sneak in a few rate increases, and I imagine it's difficult for municipalities with so many other things. You know, we're thinking about roads and sewers and wastewater and electricity and parks, to be able to try to, you know, go toe to toe with these billion-dollar entities.
Okay. If there's no other questions from the audience, I need a motion.
I got it.
Oh, okay.
But when you do this, on Bill 507 Second Avenue, Norway, if you sell it, the first thing they're gonna do is raise the prices anyway. So what would be the difference if you gotta sit, if you improve it, the prices will go up? Because if you sell it, you know what happens when they sell. The first 6 months or year, it's gonna go up again.
I'm sure it will.
Or they might say you'd have to have some proof that they would stay in it for a while. They may come in and say, the phone system's out, this is all we want. Right? That could happen too.
It could.
Very highly doubtful, highly
Highly
doubtful.
what they don't want.
Highly doubtful, Bill, that would happen. The more revenue streams they have, their whole point of buying it would be to maximize the revenue stream. So to cut services, I would highly doubt that would happen. If anything, they may add services.
Okay.
Thanks, Bill. But, and with Bill saying that too, you know, if we sell it, it is out of our control then.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, it's out of our control.
Whoever buys it's gonna do what they want with it and raise it up.
Right. Right. Okay, do I have a motion to go, is there anybody else that has any comments on the TV? Okay, we're gonna go back into regular session. Do I have a motion? Come out of public hearing?
Motion to come out of public hearing.
Support?
Who's support?
Me.
Mr. Marrero?
Yes.
Mr. Pop? Yes. Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Move on to appointments and presentations. Appointment, Parks and Recreation Committee. Mr. Stoltman.
We have an interested party to be on Parks and Rec. I can't say I know who the person is, but we have openings, we have a lot of openings, and I think anyone who's interested in volunteering is a good thing.
I make a motion that Lori Shannick be appointed to serve out the open term expiring December 2023 for Parks and Rec.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Because I didn't say it. All right. We'll move on to communications. Approval, Department of Public Works, plow fleet scraper blades.
They need blades.
Yes.
We got 3 quotes. They do recommend going with Ronald Machinery Co. There is enough money in the budget to handle that expense, assuming that nothing catastrophic happens in the next 3 weeks. I suppose you could push this to the new budget, but the money is there.
I don't have a problem with that, and I like seeing the 3 quotes. Do I have a motion? Or do I have questions?
I gotta find them in front of still now. I got the golf course was next to mine.
I'll make a recommendation to purchase blades from Roland Machinery Co. for a price not to exceed the amount of $4,988.02.
Support.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes?
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
All right. Move on to approval, purchase of city property, red line. Mr. Stoltman.
So we do have a proposal to purchase city property. Ben Peterson from Red Line Motors is here in the audience. This is a parcel that attaches to, abuts to his current property of Red Line Sports. My suggestion to council is, you know, to consider this purchase, 2 things should happen first. The property is currently not listed for sale on our city property list, nor does it have a value attached to it for sale. So I think the first part of it is I'm recommending give it to Planning Commission to give you guys a recommendation to add it for sale and give you a price that they're recommending it's valued at. At the same time, you know, the second part of this, it's currently zoned residential. So what he's proposing to do, which is a storage of his boat that he stores for the summer for other people or works on, is not currently an allowable use in residential.
So that'd have to go to the zoning board of appeals.
Well, what you want to do is probably rezone the property.
Rezone it to commercial, so he doesn't have to do that.
You know, it's,
But that would have to go to the zoning board.
I'd have to look at the process of
Yeah.
where that goes. However, I'll outline that process when, if you guys
Okay.
motion to do so, but his property is currently zoned commercial, that abuts the property across the street is commercial, and then a couple properties over from his is industrial, and that property, the subject property in north is residential. I don't see a concern in considering a change to commercial that would likely allow the use. That is not spot zoning, because it is contiguous. I believe our city attorney can tell me if I'm wrong, but it is contiguous with a commercial property. So I would not classify that as a spot zone, which you don't typically want to find yourself in. So to me, that would be the 2 processes that would have to commence before you should really consider the property for sale. And I told Ben the same thing, that you know, he wouldn't want to invest in this without those processes happening first.
So what you're really looking for is just a motion to go forward to look into this at this point?
I would, if this is something you want to consider, I would recommend motioning that you send it to planning commission for review, at least for the appraisal of putting it for sale and bringing that back to you. And as well as if you want to start the process for rezoning to commercial, you know, you can kind of motion that, and then I will look at the process, and we can start that as well.
So this is just that 1.79 acre.
Because you don't
lot.
want to approve the sale, right?
No, you really need, and like I told Mr. Peter, you don't want to put money down on something that you have no guarantee that it's going to be
No.
rezoned for appropriate use.
All right.
So I would motion to,
Look into it, and it has to come back.
right, so if you go to planning commission, they would then send you a recommendation of add it to the property for sale list and then assign it a value. And then similarly, we could start the rezoning process, and I'll have to look at how we do that. Typically, it goes to the planning commission for a recommendation, then back to the council, but I have to look at our processes for that.
I went through some of this before the last time this came up, and I walked that property, took a real estate, and with a real estate agent too. Yeah, we definitely need to get that rezoned commercial to start with. I mean, it's way undervalued as a residential piece there. You've got highway access right there, you know, I mean, it's almost like highway frontage. It's, you know.
Well, the only thing I'll say to that is you can't build a building on it. I'd like to, but eventually, if it, because
Of the hill?
well, there's not only that there's a hill, but there's also 2 power lines that run on that property. One is owned by the entities, it's a high line, so you can't undermine that, and it runs a 45-degree angle across that property. So you gotta stay away from those 2 things with any kind of building of any kind of height. And then also there's a setback for the road with the city of Norway. And then the hill comes into play because if I took too much dirt away from the edge of the hill.
That would all
then
come down.
There's the assisted living, I believe it is, to the north.
Bluff's Edge, yeah.
Is that, what is it?
Bluff's Edge?
Yes. And so if I excavate away from the hill to get far enough away from the road or power line, then their parking lot will end up in my parking lot. So you gotta be a little bit mindful of that kind of thing when you're looking at that property. The other thing is that my property to the south is fenced, and we pull boats on the daily, in and out of there, using that little road that goes to the park or whatever. And so if there was another building, you know, put in there, say, somehow we got a small business and they're a small building or something, and like a coffee shop or something might fit in there. But if you were to put something in there, it would, the traffic would be, it would really hinder my southern property just because I wouldn't be able to access my boats to pull them in and out with forklifts. It would be a real problem traffic-wise.
And I think it would make sense regardless of who you guys decide to sell to. I mean, that property probably makes the most sense in a commercial zone district.
Do you have any input, Mr. Council?
I think everybody is spot on. I mean, first things first, it's zoned residential. So it doesn't do Red Line Motorsports any good, zoned residential. I think Mr. Stoltman's comments are spot on. Mr. Peterson, the owner of Red Line, is the one that's before the council and considering it or proposing or discussing it. And he's a commercial entity, and it just, as a residential property, it just doesn't do any good. So I think first things first, planning commission and take a look at whether or not it should be rezoned or not. It seems pretty apparent. There's commercial and industrial all up along that line. So it seems to make sense if the planning commission agrees that it'd be zoned commercial. And then next step from there would be, not getting too far ahead of ourselves, but first things first.
Right.
Whether or not it's appropriate to rezone it. And then if Mr. Peterson's still interested, he'll probably be back.
So,
The only thing that, you know, I mean, I guess it would be most advantageous to the, you know, I mean, I don't know what I said, you know, it's not zoned commercial, so I can't use it like, you know, like I thought I could. So, but I mean, if I bought it first, I mean, and then commercial, I don't know. I mean,
That wouldn't be a good idea, because you might buy it and it might not turn into commercial. We gotta have it go to the zoning board
That's
and
the
that.
only thing I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I could buy it as is and just, I mean, we've been using it as just parking for, you know, we move boats out of the cave and move them across the road. And some employee parking down there, you know. But as far as, I don't know if I should buy it, you know, if you guys want to consider me buying it first and then change it to commercial.
No,
No, I think it's a good plan to change it to commercial and then let's see who's out there, yeah.
yeah,
That way you're protected of, you know what you're getting.
You're not sitting on that lot.
Yeah.
Sure.
yeah.
All of a sudden, someone, no, I'm not gonna change it, and then you could have some issues there, so get it changed.
However you guys want to do it.
Yeah.
it's fine.
So do I have a, motion to have Mr. Stoltman look into
Yeah, I would
the zoning?
motion to.
I got it. I'd like a motion that the city manager approach the zoning board to investigate changing the designation from residential to planning commission to commercial on this parcel of land.
Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Mararo?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes. Move on to approval Oak Crest Golf Course.
May I really quick, do you want to do a
Sure.
second motion on that to, also planning commission for adding to the city's property for sale list at the same time?
Yes. Go ahead, make another, add that, well, how do you want
If
to?
you feel comfortable.
Make another motion. Go ahead.
After it's redesignated?
It's up to you.
Yeah, no, I don't think we should put it on anything until it gets the designation
That's fine.
changes to
fine.
commercial.
That's fine.
I mean, otherwise it's just getting guys like this guy here, he doesn't know what to do right now, right?
Yeah.
Because, he's got a residential piece of land, he wants to use commercial land, and we're saying we're gonna try to get that changed,
Right.
and so, no, let's get the designation figured out, and then we'll put it up for sale.
Sounds good. Okay, we'll move on to Oak Crest Golf Course lease agreement. Just so everybody knows, I don't know if everybody got to read through this. The agreement is exactly like the agreement we've had with the golf course, other than with the money that they owe us. As they're paying us back, the amount of what they owe us is less than the last lease agreement. Do I have any questions?
So Candy, you're saying it's as is, nothing's changed, just an extension of,
Yep, and the only thing that changed was the amount that they owe us, right?
Hang on, let me clarify that.
Let's go to Grant on that one, so it's.
Yeah, the golf course doesn't owe us any money, just schematics as much as
sorry.
anything else, because they don't owe us, there's a lease payments, they've been purchasing property, they've been using the property, and it's an overall lease that covers this, the same as the last one 5 years ago. The amount that was agreed upon 5 years ago has been reduced substantially over the course of 5 years, so therefore, because it's been reduced, it's re-amortized based upon that reduction in payment. So the lease payment went down a bit. I reincorporated again a couple of years ago. I think it was the water pump from the river. I just incorporated that as another exhibit to reincorporate and reaffirm that agreement as well. There was nominal changes. One of the things that we worked on was a discussion about pulling water out of the pond. We did have a chance to meet Mr. Stoltman. I went out and met with the commission. Very educational, very informative. They've been having some problems with the pond, and they're working diligently to try to address it, which is their main water source. So it was a bit of trying to come up with an actual agreement per se. We agreed to reconnect on that issue if we need the water in the future. I think if the council recalls, in the last year or two, there was some discussion about using potable water, not potable water, where to pull the water from for purposes of irrigation out at Marion Park. I think everybody agrees river water is probably better than potable water, but there's some issues with delivery, getting it out of the river, up to the course, and then into Marion Park. And it became a stumbling block, if you will. So I believe, and I'm not exactly sure how everything was worked out with the parks and how things were getting water, but it it was getting water, and rather than open another can of worms, we agreed that in the event we need it, want it, it's available, and we would discuss it further on the parameters of how exactly we would pull that water. We'd have electricity costs, maintenance costs, of course, as well. But that was one issue. Regarding, at one point, the grease trap was an issue, if the council recalls. They took care of that and addressed that issue because we were having some problems with grease getting into the system. That was addressed and taken care of by Oakcrest itself. As far as additional items, there really isn't a whole lot. It's more of just an updated lease agreement that in essence really reflects what was in place before.
In reference of paying down debt, Grant, so they paid some debt down to us and then they re-amortized, so lower payment?
In essence, even though it's not necessarily a debt, but when the city, in essence, didn't quite divest itself, but it was no longer a department of the city. It used to be all the city employees. And the city wanted to get away from that. So the commission that was out there since 1974, I believe, continues to operate it. There's no more city employees per se. But based upon the historical money back and forth between the city and the golf course, that was the rough utilized number to determine how the lease payments would work over time back to the city. And also there was city equipment that was there, and that is the basis for the repayment back. It's not a debt per se, but they're purchasing equipment that when we walked away from the course and the city running it and had them run it, we left the equipment there. They've been buying it from us.
Thanks.
That was my fault, and I misspoke on the term of debt.
Yeah, I just want to be careful with that. It's
Yeah,
not debt. It's just they're repaying
Yeah, we
back
start hearing debt.
purchasing equipment.
Yeah, I'm
Right,
sorry.
that was my fault.
And I should have known that too, because I was in on the first. It's actually a lease agreement to pay off our debt to the golf course, right? Something like that. No?
No,
Is that this,
sorry.
is
That's
that
all right.
this number here on page 5 of 15? Equipment lease payments?
Yes,
So roughly the 94 is what's left
at the end of this
at
term,
the end of this term?
that'll
Okay.
be what's left. And the amortization tables are all attached
Yeah.
as exhibits in the back.
I don't like going that deep into the weeds. but-
Sometimes it's necessary.
So basically, there was debt here. The golf course entity itself today agreed to buy this equipment from us.
Correct.
For $136,249 at the onset of this agreement.
Correct.
Now we're down to 94 grand.
At the end of this term, that's what will be left, after the end of this 5-year term. Correct. Well
So
said.
Candy, you did not speak incorrectly, dear. There is debt involved with this.
That's what I thought, but. All right, do I have any other questions about that? If not, I need a motion.
Motion moving forward with approval of the golf course lease as exhibited here in resolution 2022-16. Support.
Is that what the resolution was?
I don't know if that was 16 is that number.
As long as that's the right.
I think it's right, right there, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right.
Mr.
Yep.
Mangini?
Yes.
Mr. Mararo?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes,
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
I'd just like to make a comment too, that the Golf Commission's doing a great job out there.
Yes.
It's been a lot busier, and I hope they keep it up, and I wish them luck this summer. Hopefully, they're busy.
I've played the course in great shape.
And I did get to go to that, their board meeting with Grant, and I did, speak with them that I'm going to attempt to make myself present for their meetings. I did miss their last one, and I've also invited them to join us on occasion, just maybe a monthly report, just so we continue to have a positive relationship with their board.
Okay, we'll move on to Community Channel 7 upgrade. Dan, and I don't know if you want Jim to come up.
Yeah, if anyone has any more detailed question, I asked Jim to.
Why don't you come up, Jim?
my understanding, my layman's understanding of this is, Channel 7's been down, the system that we're using and the software program is no longer being supported, and it's just, we need to upgrade our system in order to make it work, irregardless, I think, of what we decide to do with this system. This is something we need to do.
Basically, Dan explained it. Windows started giving us an error that we had an illegitimate copy of Windows 7. Our 7 is not being supported. So we upgraded it, we put in 2 different legitimate codes, and Windows won't let us run 7. So the only way to get it to run is to completely format it, put a brand new version of 10 on, and Key West is not sure their software will work with 10, and it was end of life in 2019. So we're not going to get that old software. Basically what we have to do is we have to do something else. I thought I had another bid from a local source, but I believe he was too busy, he kind of backed out at the last second, so I didn't get that bid. This is Key West specialty. We've always had their programs, and they're promising a new one is much easier to work. It's not as complicated as the one that we have.
And this is just the upgrade to the format to put it on Channel 7, but we're still working on all the equipment and everything in here to get a better product out to the people. But that's different from this.
Yes, yeah. Channel 7, all that is a computer
Yeah.
with a high-end graphics card that we have.
This is a computer with a graphics card and the right software, that's all this is.
And as far as I understand, we're going to be getting, it's not nearly as complicated. It sounds like it's a very small box designed for video output, and then there's no more putting anything on the computer. It's all cloud-based now. So that's a good thing. We don't have, it should be easy to replace from now.
That's your subscription package for 12 months. That's just a cloud-based,
And that's support,
package.
that's support to help
Yeah.
the girls get to know everything.
Sure.
Any other questions?
You did say that the other kept back though, the other bid.
Yes, yeah, unfortunately, I was hoping, yes.
Yeah.
And Scott, you know, I'm usually the voice of,
Yeah,
you know,
honestly-
but in this situation, this is pretty specialized.
Yep. I'm good.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I think, that do stuff like this, but there's very, very few. This is the only one I know of offhand, where they can shut the ads off and then play the counseling meeting. Not a lot of people do that anymore. So, all automated software. For a long time, we ran a separate switcher on Channel 7, and that is, you don't want to do that anymore.
That doesn't happen.
No.
I don't think the people would miss us that much, to be quite honest.
Yeah, well, you're not getting the phone calls I'm getting then. Thanks, Jim. If there's no other questions, do I have a motion?
I motion Channel 7 upgrade be approved for amount not to exceed $1,383.56 to Key West Technology Incorporated.
Support.
Mr. Mararo?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes?
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Move on to hydro unit number 3, PLC replacement. Mr. Stoltman.
So I apologize, Scott, I can't get the audio, so I'm gonna call Mr. Heggie, who is on the screen, and just try to, I'll have to work on this system a little bit. We are calling another country.
Hello.
Scott, can you hear us?
I sure can.
All right, so we are on the PLC item. I'm just gonna turn it over to you completely, and let you have at this
We
one.
can't hear him, or he knows that already.
Well, hello everybody, thank you. So Unit 3 has dropped offline 3 times recently because the PLC is starting to fail. We've had this trend in the past with other units, and we've swapped PLCs out. The problem with this time is we don't have any more to swap out. FDS has diagnosed the issue, and they found a new off-the-shelf PLC that they can install. It'll be about a $5,000 expenditure. These PLCs are becoming obsolete, and parts are going to be increasingly hard to find. But it sounds like we have like one more year of factory support before the factory itself stops supporting them. So things that are definitely on our radar, but we're hoping that we can capitalize on some of that grant money to get the PLCs replaced. But for now, just for reliability, we really need to get this one on Unit 3 changed out.
Scott, you're gonna know my question. What's a PLC?
It's the brains. That's basically the computer that controls the automation of the machine.
Thank you.
This is why I turned it over to Scott.
If it's 20 years old, it probably runs on DOS or something like that.
Okay.
Is there any other questions for Scott?
Hey, just want to hope you're doing well over there, buddy. Thanks for your sacrifice and everything, you know, and appreciate you jumping on and helping us out as always.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure.
Is it 173 degrees over there? Or?
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's rained here today.
But it's 3 o'clock in the morning, so it's not too bad right now.
Well, thanks for joining us,
Thank
Scott.
you,
We
Scott.
appreciate it.
I'm good.
Do we have a motion?
I move that we recommend FDS replace number 3 PLC for $5,000.
Support.
I still have, I'm sorry. What else?
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes?
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Mararo?
Yes.
I'm just gonna talk to Scott real quick.
Go ahead.
Scott, we have one more item, and then after that, we do have the Wisconsin property sale, as well as the,
That's closed session.
no, this is gonna be
Oh,
open. And the
property
meet and
sale.
hunt proposal. Do you want me to mute you and stay on, and then we get to that, I'm gonna bring Sean in, or do you want me to call you back?
Whatever's easier for you. Doesn't matter to me.
Okay, I'll just mute you, and then I'll bring Sean in a minute.
Sounds good, thanks.
We'll move on to wastewater sewer credit. Mr. Stoltman?
Right, so we've been discussing this a few times. I told Brock from wastewater, he didn't need to come. He's discussed this with you guys, we have all the same information. What it comes down to is, you know, the department is, you know, it's redlining a little bit in its funds. So the water sewer credit is one way to bolster that fund, as well as when we get all the meters installed with the water loss scenario. So it's a combination of those two factors, trying to bring that budget up. You know,
Do you have the number of the savings, Dan? So people understand.
so, right, so our 21 summer, maybe I should have Brock come. We believe it's in that potential loss of 25,000 probably, average.
A month.
I believe so. But this could be the loss as well. I should have asked Brock to come, I thought I knew what I was talking about. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So if you look at this
Yeah.
here, this is our monthly potential
Sure.
loss, and it's 38, 25, 36, 39. So in those summer months. This would be part of our fee, our rate schedule. So if you motion to not have this, we will take it off the fee schedule and let people know that, it's
We're not
coming off.
giving the credit. I believe, we called around too, and there's nobody else that is.
From my knowledge, I don't know of anyone that does this particular system with their credit.
The
Certainly
credit.
not in this county.
Right, because I believe when we sat in with him during our budget hearing, he called around and
Right.
he said nobody else does this anymore. And it was put in years ago when we were in a drought situation, and that's why it was put in, and actually it should have been reviewed every year but we had a drought so many years ago, and then they just kept giving the credit.
And it certainly could be reinstated if we
Yeah,
find ourselves.
I fought this pretty hard in budgets to start. We really did dig deep. I didn't feel it was right to take it away from folks, but the point was made that everybody is getting this, everybody's gonna have to take this rate increase we'd have to put on to make up this shortfall. And for folks that don't, do a lot of watering or gardening or things like that, we just felt that it wasn't fair
To raise the rates
to
for
raise the rates to
everybody.
make up, for this $25,000 to $30,000 a month in the summer shortfall in the budget. But, we didn't take this lightly in any way, shape, or form.
Why is there a shortfall?
Pete, you know when you can sign up for sewer, in the summer you can sign up for the water credit?
Yeah.
So basically what happens is, and Dan or Candy could probably explain it better than I, when it comes to watering season, you only pay on.
Yeah, I know how it works.
Yeah.
You get a sewer credit,
So we still have to treat the water,
no matter what.
right?
So what's happening?
What does that have to do with the sewer? If I'm paying for you to take this wastewater away, then what difference if I'm not using the sewer? If it's going on my lawn, why do I gotta pay sewer?
Because what's happening is people are signing up for it that aren't putting on their lawns.
Yes.
Okay,
How-
or
how?
How do we do that?
how about giving us a season worth of time so we can get the meters put in? Instead of just, here's the deal, I got a huge yard, tons of gardens, okay? I don't care about the people that don't
Can I let
have
them
them.
come up and talk?
I
Because I don't like this.
And all of this water that I'm putting on my lawn, I'm paying for, and then I'm paying for it again, even though it's going in the ground.
We
So-
tried 7 years ago to have a meter put in, and they told us we don't need it because we get the sewer credit.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna let him come up, because I'm gonna give him 3 minutes. All right, wait a minute. Okay, one at a time. And usually if you have a question on this, you should have asked ahead of time of something on the agenda. Because you guys didn't understand that, that's okay. We want to hear your feedback. So what I want you to do is if you want to come up and ask a question, state your name and address, and I'll give you each 3 minutes.
Okay, well, Cosmo Calibration, 110 West 11th Avenue, you've already got my statement. You've already got what I think about this. I think that if I...
But you gotta say it for so the
I'm
audience.
saying it right now. If I have to pay for water to come into my house, and then I have to pay for wastewater to leave my house, if the wastewater ain't leaving my house, why am I paying for it? I already paid for it to come in. Why do I have to pay for the sewer service that I'm not using for that water?
Because there's people, and there's no way of tracking about the people that are coming in to get that, and they're not using it the other way, so they're getting the sewer credit, and it's in the red. So, I mean, either way, we can say, okay, you guys can still use that, and you can get your sewer credit, but then you're gonna get charged more for sewer. So why should the people who are not watering their lawns pay for everybody?
Okay, but then I go back to my original question then. Why the meters are not in, why are we not doing meters right now?
We are not doing meters right now because we don't have the meters because of the COVID. We ordered 1,000 meters over a year ago, and they're not here yet.
Okay.
Soon as the meters come
Then
in,
that seems like a problem that should be solved when the meters come in. When the meters come in, then do this with the prices. But not right now, I'm just letting you know. I am gonna end up spending a couple of $100 a month, every month, just in sewer with the amount of water that I use in my garden. So, it's either that, or I dig a freaking well in my garden. And
You can't
water
do that.
way. Well, no kidding. So, what options are you leaving us? You're just taking the money. There's a service that I am not using that I am paying for. If I'm not using the sewer for that water, I shouldn't have to pay for the sewer for that water.
and then why should other people have to accommodate for you using the water if they don't?
How is that accommodating me?
Because if we don't charge you for the sewer.
If somebody else wants to take that credit and water their lawn, they can do it. But if I
you're saying it's okay to charge me more money for a service that I'm not using.
You're not charged more, you've got a credit.
Oh, okay, well, it's the same thing, it's a semantic, are
Huh?
you kidding?
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's, I think that's crappy.
I thought just the people that, you had to sign up for the credit.
And almost everybody does.
Oh, whether you have a garden or. Yeah.
Yes.
That's what's happening.
That's what the problem
People are
is.
signing up for it, and they're not utilizing it. But we're still treating all this water that is supposed to be going into yards. So we're putting up more chemicals, more time at the treatment plant and everything else, and we gotta make up for it.
And there's no way to prove who's using it and not using it.
Yeah, I see now.
You know, I have a
It's probably
system, my
washing
yard is
or-
a sprinkler system.
Yeah.
I'm affected by it too, I don't like it either, but I also don't want my rates to go up
Yeah.
as everybody else has who doesn't have the same issue.
It seems like we're losing everything in the city of Norway. So, I don't know, there's no reason to live in the city anymore. You might as well go out on Pine Creek and, you know. We keep losing and losing everything.
One more quick one if I could. What about the average? What's the whole point of having a yearly average?
3 minutes.
You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna bring, so we don't give out the wrong information, and that, we're gonna bring it back to the next meeting, so we can bring, Brock in, the supervisor of the plant, so he can answer them questions for you guys. We have it in front of us, but he knows the answers, and he should have been here tonight. So what we're gonna do is bring Brock in, and we'll, table this to the next meeting, so we have more answers for you guys.
And all I want, I just want y'all to be aware that there are people who are using this sincerely. and-
Yes,
and
there
that's
is.
not
Absolutely.
acceptable for the people
Yes.
who don't.
Right.
And if you have an average,
Yep.
if you have whatever, if you have a better solution, great. But it seems to me the meters are the best solution.
Yes.
And if you can't have the meters yet, then don't put the prices, don't.
But that
don't
isn't
take
true,
away the
because
credit until we
the
have
old
the
meters are reading that too. That's not true.
Keep in mind, we're.
To save the money, right, but it's still, their meters are reading pretty good, yeah.
We haven't, nothing's changed, Mike.
So we will get.
This would have been the vote to change it tonight. You're not paying anymore right now. Nothing's changed.
Paying the same.
So we will get.
Exactly.
But Jeff, will we get the credit? Is that?
Well, we're gonna have to bring it to the next meeting, so
Right.
these people can, so the superintendent of the sewer plant can come and explain this to everybody, so, and David, if, for our street system, so nobody will get a credit unless we vote yes on this. So,
When my June bill comes,
there will not be a, will that be, the June bill be out?
that means we'll be
If
paying
you
sewer.
approve it at the meeting, if you approve it or not approve it at the meeting on June 20th.
Yes.
It's not gonna, what they're using in June will be read at the end of June. on the
Yeah.
Oh, so
It'll be, one way or another, it will be concluded, guys, before you pay any.
Before you pay for June.
If you approve it, it's still time to get it read.
You can't,
Wait, you don't get read until June 26th.
6th.
So you're not even getting read right now for this month in usage.
Right.
So at our next meeting on the 20th, when the supervisor's here, we'll know which way we're going, one way or the other.
And we will vote on it that night. So then everybody will know if we're gonna proceed having it or if we're not going to. So if we say no, then it's no. If we say yes, then everybody can call and put their,
Credit.
And we're fine with the meter, I wanted a meter all along.
Right.
And I'll pay for that, that's not a problem, I just don't want to pay for all that.
But
Very good points, everybody.
all right, thank you. And it's nice, I just wanna make a comment. It's nice to get some public participation in here. It's awesome. Tonight's the most people we've probably had in, 3 or 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
And we need to hear from the public, and, you know, maybe sometimes we can't agree with you or make the same, decide what you think is right, but I have to say, I love it. I want the people to come in. We work for you, and we need to hear the public's opinion too. So thank you.
Even your speed.
And I apologize, I thought it was a little simpler. so I didn't have to know that.
So what I need is a motion to table this to our next.
Motion we
meeting.
table wastewater sewer credit until the June 20 meeting.
Support.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
No.
Mr. Mararo?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Move on to approval Sturgeon Falls Hydro Wisconsin property sale.
So I'll bring in Scott and Sean for this in 1 second. This is just something that, two things. I haven't been present for what I believe you guys have discussed about the potential sale of some property that we own in Wisconsin. So primarily for me, this is just to kind of hear from all of you of you're aware of all this and kind of what your general direction is so that I know how to kind of proceed. And on top of that, if we do proceed, I have a proposal from Mead and Hunt, which I believe you guys were aware of was coming, to help us through that process. So this is why I have this on the agenda. So I'll have Scott as our hydro operator and I have Sean from Mead and Hunt. So give me 1 minute. Scott, you're back on. I'm going to bring in Sean here.
So Scott.
Good evening, this is Sean.
Hi, Sean. This is Dan. I'm going to, let's see. I'm learning how to manage calls here. Merge calls? Who can hear me?
Merge them.
Sean can hear you.
Scott, can you hear me?
Can you merge them?
calls.
Merge them.
I'm trying to merge. Oh, okay.
Hey, don't be so handsy, hey, it's coming.
I'm trying to
Takes a
figure
little
it
time.
out. All right, now they're both on. Okay.
Can you hear us, Scott?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, so Scott and Sean are on. So, as I was just explaining to council, this is just a discussion on the potential sale of some property that we own in Wisconsin along the Menominee. And my principal purpose was for them, just so I can hear from council as to that they're aware of this discussion and that they want us to proceed. And if they do want us to proceed, Sean, then we have your proposal to discuss. So I guess I'll open it up to council of, is there anything, are we all aware and familiar with this particular
Yes.
potential sale? And then just, we will continue to proceed. That's kind of wanted to make sure we're all on the same page before I.
No, we're all, yeah, that's good. I'm just trying to figure out why we got these two in as one item right now.
That's how I had written it, and actually on the agenda, it just may not have translated that way. So this was part of the hydro discussion, unless Grant says that we can't do it because of that, then we
You know
can
what
put
I'm
it
saying,
to the
Grant?
20th.
Does it make sense?
I
Does it make
intended
sense
this
that
to
they're
be
bundled together?
on one thing.
I'm not trying to pick on Dan here, I'm just
No,
asking.
no. So when Dan and I were chatting the other day about this, I'm not really up to speed. I know this has been discussed for the last probably 10 years. But when Dan asked me about specifics, I couldn't answer any of them because I haven't been involved. So I'm pretty short on the details of what has been going on in the discussion.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why
Wisconsin.
the property sale is actually merged in with the Mead and Hunt proposal for the year, the price proposal for the year. That's kind of how I'm reading this. I see they've got their price list for their professional services, for their FERC services and things like that, and I'm just kind of wondering why it's on the same.
Well, we can, Sean, if we're kind of discussing your proposal.
Sure.
My understanding of this proposal was to help us through this entire process of the potential sale of that property.
It's actually, the proposal, like I've been doing historically in the past, is for the next entire fiscal year for all of the work that we do with you on an annual basis. However, it does include about $9,800 for the land sale specifically.
It's gotta be separate though.
The remaining $20,000 is work that we have been performing I've been helping you with for the last 7 years, and then my predecessors prior to that. So I was not aware that you wanted a specific proposal for the land sale. And again, this proposal was submitted to Ray end of March, so however, it's still binding.
Okay, well, that's my fault. I thought this was specific to this.
And you wouldn't have
sale.
known.
No, it's fine.
You wouldn't have known.
We just need to split up.
Right, well, and in that case, I mean, Grant, you tell me, my thought would be is if this is different than I thought, that might have to be a different notice agenda item.
Yeah, and historically, and like I said, we expect some of the educational process kind of as we proceed here, because it gets a little bit confusing as far as, now we're talking about this FERC compliance. Sean has been working with us for a number of years with Mead and Hunt.
Yes.
And it would make sense to separate this thing out and put it into a separate approval, separate from the sale, any discussions of the sale or any guidance that he would provide. Which, and I would throw a quick plug in for him. I have worked with him in the past on a couple different issues. And I think I've said to council before how much I appreciated his guidance and help.
Yeah, it's all good.
Through FERC.
We've
It's been
heard-
helpful.
Yeah, we don't even have your $9,600 number anywhere in here for the actual Sturgeon Falls Hydro Wisconsin property sale. It's not even broke out in the documentation we have in front of us. So really, we can't even make a
Yeah, I would say
motion on
this
it.
would have to be on a different meeting and a separate
Yeah.
item. I thought it was part of.
We possibly could take the pricing structure for the year and go with that, Candy, if you're comfortable.
I wouldn't put my name.
Yeah, probably not, but I'm just trying to be, I don't want to feel like we, have to screw the whole thing
No,
up.
but I'll bring this back another meeting, but if anything, just, if I have an understanding that, you guys want us to proceed with these discussions for the Wisconsin property. I just wanted to have that understood.
I think to have
We can motion for that.
I think to have Sean on is good, because he can actually give us some insight on what's all involved in this sale, you know what I mean, Wisconsin property sale.
Sure.
I mean, still really good resource to have. I mean, does he have any input for us in going forward in this Wisconsin property sale?
There you go.
Yeah, so Sean, do you want to touch on the process of this if you can?
Yeah, I can quickly. The actual land is contained within the federal hydroelectric project boundary, which is under the jurisdiction of FERC, or the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and it is part of your license. So if you want to sell any land that is contained within that project boundary, which is currently under your FERC license or contract with FERC, you have to get special permission in order to do that. That permission involves consulting with the stakeholders, the resource agencies, both in Wisconsin and Michigan, because your project is in both, and then getting their comments on the proposed sale, and then actually doing a brief environmental analysis to demonstrate that there are no adverse effects from selling that property to the hydro project. And then that gets submitted to the commission, and they make a decision on it. Now, it is not guaranteed that the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission will allow you to sell that property and remove it from the project boundary. Because you currently have a contract until 2040 to have that land remain within the project. So you would be asking to basically amend your contract with FERC or your FERC license to sell that land and remove it from the project boundary. Even if you did not remove the land from the project boundary, you'd still need special permission.
So Sean, what you're saying is, so the land across from Piers Gorge is still considered for FERC?
Yes, the land, well, you are planning to sell 328 acres that's currently contained within the project boundary for the hydro project, yes. if I'm understanding your question correctly.
Well, under my understanding, because I did work with Ray a little bit on this, not a lot, I didn't realize that there was any land adjacent directly across from our dam. We were mostly talking about the land that was adjacent over on the other side for Piers Gorge and that.
Yeah, the land upstream of the dam on the Wisconsin side of the river is what you're attempting to sell to WISDOT and WDNR.
Okay. And then I just want to make it clear for everybody, because I was a little bit in on this. The only way we could sell this is if the DNR was interested in it. We can't put it up for sale for just anybody to buy it.
Right.
So, yeah, so on the Wisconsin side, the only one that could come in would have been the DNR, so we're just kind of looking at,
And that's all tied into the FERC stuff, and I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
All those
Yeah,
kind of
that's what-
entities work
I just
together.
I didn't understand that, why across from Piers Gorge would be in our dam
It's like a
project.
reservoir, it's like a whole strip along a whole set of river, I guess.
But there's private property all along there, so
Yeah.
why does it continue?
I'm not exactly familiar, because I didn't obtain your FERC license, exactly why that land was all contained within the project boundary, but perhaps you may have had flowage rights on it, so it was contained within the project boundary at that time. I don't know that
Okay.
for a fact, but generally in other hydro projects, if there were flowage rights on that land was included within the project boundary.
Makes total sense. We had
Okay.
that, remember we
Oh,
discussed that
thank
before?
you.
Guys, I'm just wondering why do we really want to open up this can of worms with FERC? I mean, first of all, if the Wisconsin DNR is gonna buy it, what are we talking about per acre? I'm guessing it's not top dollar.
Well,
I thought it was still talking.
it was quite a bit.
Substantial.
It was a big
I thought it was
amount.
1,200 an acre.
1,200 an acre?
Yeah, is what they were told.
So,
They were gonna give us what they wanted anyway.
1,200 an acre, so that's what? That's 58,040?
The one question I have is,
40,000.
would we be able to strip a section of this property out and keep it in FERC on Wisconsin side? Or do we have to be like a 40 or a quarter mile from the river?
You can request to take whatever portion you want out. You don't have to take it out by 40. As a matter of fact, the map that we created for you retains the retains the land along the shoreline and keeps that within the project boundary and keeps it under your ownership and control. The land that you are proposing to divest yourselves of is land that is actually landward of the reservoir.
Yeah, so it's my
So
understanding the
it's not
shoreline.
by the 40 or anything like that. It's an
we
individual.
retain The shoreline and the island, is the property inland of that.
So we got the shoreline, we keep all that. Anything comes up, we need it, we got it. And we get 1,200 acre for the inland stuff.
Well, that's not an exact price.
Right,
But
but that's what was kind of discussed.
Yeah, again, for my purpose here, I just wanted to have this conversation with me involved, so I have a.
Did we cut that recently? Some of that?
We did.
Yes.
And we have another one.
So it's not wooded either?
Yeah, we have
No,
another
we
one.
took
We
the
did
wood off.
cut.
Came through.
We took the wood off it already, right? So
Yeah.
1,200 an acre isn't
There's some
terrible.
still sitting there because he couldn't get it out, remember that?
Yeah.
That gotta come out of there.
We are required here to cut another, I think this year I have it on my desk.
And that one cut was what we earmarked for the field over there.
That was,
Yeah.
but that wasn't out here, it was down by the dam, when they
Yeah.
cut down by the others, on the other side of the road by the dam.
All right.
I don't
All
know
right,
if
so-
Scott has anything.
He looks like he's ready to go to bed.
Yeah, we gotta get Scott back to bed, holy cow.
So again, I just wanted to have this conversation so I understood how you all feel, so when I'm in these meetings that I can represent you guys.
No, if
fairly.
we keep the shoreline and, if we keep what we need along our
Well,
river
we-
access,
yeah.
obviously, yeah.
Yeah, I guess the
think we should
biggest
move forward.
question for me was, one, what is the value that they're offering, and is that value worth considering selling, and is there any potential issue later on with our operation by
Right.
not retaining the property. Those are just questions that I don't have the answer to.
Right.
That I will just continue to work as we move forward. This process, I don't think is concluding anytime soon.
No.
I just wanted to make sure that I understood how you guys felt on this
I
process.
knew for the longest time that Wisconsin was not interested in purchasing this property, probably the last year and a half, Ray came to us and said that.
Well, it was
they were showing
before that,
interest in
because they came in, I don't think you guys were on here, but they came in.
We had a lady give a.
Yeah, and one other
She
time.
wasn't- They were probably weren't at that time, but it was a little bit after that.
I think they were looking for the funding.
Yeah.
I think they were looking for the funding of it. Well, it doesn't hurt to keep
Right.
looking in on it, doesn't mean we have to make a decision on it.
Yeah, what we're gonna need, it sounds like there's a proposal from me, there's a proposal that was supposed to be there from me and Hunt.
Well, I think it's all encompassing in this that I didn't
It's,
understand.
and it's like $9,600 to go keep moving forward with this process.
Well, Sean, is that included in this original proposal? It's just not separated, is now what my understanding.
Right, yeah, I have approximately 9,800 in there for, what I'm calling task 1, number 5, application to amend the project boundary. It's on page 3 of the proposal. It's on the top. And I believe I've set aside approximately $9,800 for that work. Now, that is my best estimate. Right now, we are seeing that the Michigan DNR maybe has some concerns about that, and I know that seems strange that the Michigan DNR has concerns within Wisconsin.
No, it
However,
doesn't.
since it is a federal project, they have opportunities to comment on that. And so it's my best guess. Now, one thing that is not included in here is that once the project boundary is amended, we will have to revise the project boundary map and submit that to FERC. That's probably going to be an additional $5,000 or so. I did not include that in here because I'm not certain that FERC is going to require it, but I think they very well could.
Candy, guys? What's-
Well,
did Wis- did-
what we need is to find out what we need from him, and then it's gotta be broken out of our regular
No doubt.
contract.
That's why I brought it up
So I can
right
bring you two separated,
Yeah.
Did
contracts.
Wisconsin contact us about this? Does Wisconsin contact us about this, the DNR?
Ray has been in contact with Wisconsin.
Because to me, it sounds like we could be throwing,
Money.
20 grand down a hole.
Right, we're
And-
not gonna do that, put the cart before the
Right.
horse.
We actually contacted both Wisconsin and Michigan because Wisconsin and Michigan will not agree and will not come to a meeting together. The city of Norway and Mr. Anderson actually set the meeting up between both of them because we inquired about Wisconsin purchasing the land because they are the only ones that can purchase the land from us.
Okay.
But Wisconsin and Michigan would not meet without Mr. Anderson setting the meeting up. So we did inquire about this initially, and this is how this is all shaped out and is developing.
Thank you, Brett.
And in the DNR's master plan, I mean, they call for this area just to be public access and recreation. Just so you know.
So I think we gotta go back and look at this, and we're gonna have to Sean, come back with your regular contract at the next meeting, which we do every year. If you don't have a problem, I'm sorry that Ray had that on his desk since March. We could've got that out of the way.
Do you need me to split that proposal then into 2 and take the application out and put that as a separate proposal?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And sorry that we had just.
Sorry for the confusion.
Yeah, for the
That's
confusion.
perfectly fine. I didn't know exactly how to do it, and as I said, I submitted this back in March, so we didn't really know as much about the land sale back in March as what we do now either, so.
And thank you for all the help that you give us on that, Dan. I really
No problem.
appreciate it.
My pleasure.
That's it.
All right, Scott and Sean, if there's anything else, I'm gonna sign off on you guys.
He just wanted some guidance. He didn't want to.
Thanks, guys.
Did they ask for anything, or can we drop off?
No, you can drop off, that's all.
Go to bed, Scott.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks, guys.
Be safe, buddy.
Bye.
See you guys. Bye.
He's answering calls from us at 3
What do you
o'clock in
want
the
us to
morning.
do with that?
And it was nothing.
Because you,
The PLC.
I don't need a motion or anything like that. This was mostly just for me to be informed of what you guys knew about that.
all right, what I'm gonna do is ask for a motion.
Just let it die.
Do I have a motion on approval of Sturgeon Falls, Wisconsin property sale? Motion dies. I have no. All right. I need a motion to go into closed session, just so everybody knows, we'll be going into closed session. We will not be making any decisions.
Want to go back to address this?
Oh, yeah, that's true. All right, we'll do that first. I'll go around, council comments. Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council on any item of interest shall do so now at the podium. State your name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. I have none. We'll move on to mayor and council comments. Scott?
I would just like to thank the public for coming. When we do have public hearings and everything, nobody shows up. And we're getting people out the streets, hey, well, come to a meeting, you know, just give your concern to the meeting, not one, yeah, come to me if I'm walking through paths or something, or, you know, you see me at somewhere, ask me, yeah. But that way the whole public can see everybody has the same concern. Thank you for coming, I do appreciate that. That's all I have.
Brett?
I echo the same thing as Scott. Appreciate you guys coming, voice your concerns. I mean, we're not gonna make all the right decisions, and especially when we're not hearing from the public. So I appreciate it. Thank
We'll
you.
be here more often. Well, you know, that's just it.
June 20th for sure.
I don't want to pay no more money either, you know, and it's, I also have a sprinkler system, you know, a water system. It sucks when I see that big sticker shock. But then again, we're not the ones making the money on it, it's what everybody else.
No, I understand. Now, and I have also a little bit of better understanding of how things are operating here now that I've been here, so I'm glad. And like I said, I'll be back.
Thank you.
Jeff?
Yeah, ditto, of course, guys, really appreciate it. Again, we had quite the argument in budget about the whole thing. But you did make a great point. I will say this, it's not your fault that we can't get meters right now. So that's something I'm gonna take into consideration next time we discuss it.
Absolutely.
I wanted to come up with something very intelligent and eloquent to say about, I know, you're gonna feel bad now, about the school shooting in Uvalde, Texas. See, now he's gonna feel bad.
Now I feel bad.
Mr. Pop, how many active shooter trainings have you gone through as a contractor of Pop's Drywall? Mr. Kramer, how many active shooter, Boss?
I have went through one, but it was a while back.
Okay. Mr. Carlson, at Mount Salello, how many active shooter trainings have you gone through?
I can't disclose that kind of information, Mr. Romani.
That's a 0. At the beauty shop?
None.
Mr. Stoltman, none? How about at?
Borderland weekly, we go through them.
That's what I thought, you know, I mean, we go through them 2 to 3 times a year with everyone in the building, from 4 years old, 5 years old, up to 18-year-old students, and all the adults that live there, or that work there. Seems like we live there. I don't have the answer. I know it's a very complicated problem. All I know is if we keep doing the same thing, nothing's gonna change. I don't have the answer for what is doing something different. But I wanna listen to everyone. I wanna listen to all people as they talk about what's going on with mental health in the nation, what's going on with arms manufacturing, what goes along with different sorts of trainings and things like that, the requirement to purchase firearms with hardening security at at schools or other places, as you know, it's grocery stores too, and hospitals, with other places where these kinds of tragedies have happened. I want to listen to everyone that has an idea about it, because it's sad that it's become a uniquely American problem, and
It's not.
we don't. Excuse me, this is my turn for comments. You're wrong, but this is my turn for comments. It's sad that it's become a uniquely American issue when it comes to mass shootings. And I just hope that everyone can figure something out. There's not one solution to this. There isn't. So we need a lot of people working together to figure out what the answer is. So, thank you.
All
right.
Excuse me, Kenny, just real quick. I'm not wrong, Rico.
All right, we're not.
This happened in Israel for years and years and years and years, and they have a real good way of handling things.
You had your time.
You're wrong.
All right, we had our time. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for participating.
Thanks, guys.
Dan, did you have anything?
Nope.
Nope. All right. I need a motion to go into closed session.
I make support.
That motion is pursuant to MCL 15.268A. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Mararo?
Yeah.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.